All right, time now to continue our conversation with OHSAA Commissioner Jerry Snodgrass. BCSN's Mark Kuntz posing the questions on the new winter calendar.
One of the changes coming to girls basketball next season, it's the tournament. Everything has changed in the winter. Wrestling has moved, which is creating some logistical headaches in Columbus. So right now, we don't know where the 2020 girls basketball state championship is going to be held.
I hope to know in a few weeks. It's challenging. And that leads into a whole subject of, tournament venues,
yes,
where you play games. Such a misleading topic. You mentioned that Ohio State University, where we have played. I mean, we're unique in Ohio with the shape of the state, and Columbus in the center. People want it there. They want it there because it's
215 years ago, it was designed that way.
Correct, and they want it at the Ohio State University. It makes sense. I get all that. However, when the Ohio State University sometimes says it's not available, your hands are pretty tied. If you still want to play there, then you have to make adjustments. Everything from parking to simply the facility availability itself. So those are all really issues that enter into it. And one area that you didn't even touch on about, the availability of the site, another huge event in the city of Columbus is the Arnold Classic.
Right.
And the Arnold Classic literally takes every parking spot, every hotel room, every restaurant seat, and we just cannot have an event there in the city of Columbus while the Arnold's going on. So that really narrows down even more.
And to clarify, the Arnold Classic began as a bodybuilding competition, and it has grown into a sports convention, which really encompasses the entire downtown Columbus. You name the sport, it's represented in some fashion in the Arnold.
It most certainly is, and they have tried to grow that into every single area that doesn't exist right now either. So kudos to them for doing that. But it's really then thrown a wrinkle in. Wow, now all of a sudden we have these short weeks to work with. And by the way, we have to stay away from Easter.
Right.
By the way, now some of the parking lots at the Schottenstein Center or anywhere at Ohio State are now controlled by students and staff. And it really becomes a handcuffing. Now people will say, well, let's move it to Cleveland, let's move it to Cincinnati. No disrespect to those cities, I'm sure they would welcome us. Bowling Green, I know Bowling Green would love to have an event.
Which is, I'm going to stop you right there, because that's something else I want to talk about. The fact that most of the state championships are in Central Ohio, which is understandable for geographic reasons. You've got a couple in Northeast Ohio, a couple in Southwest Ohio. Why don't we have any state championships held in Northwest Ohio?
And that's a great question. I will be honest with you. For the most part, it's really never come up.
Exactly. I think years and years ago, maybe like in the 50s, the state championship in basketball maybe had been in Toledo. I think because the boys basketball state championship has moved around a little bit. But there has not been anything in Northwest Ohio probably 25, 30 years.
Yeah, and you're right. And I'm a Bowling Green graduate, and my son-in-law is a UT graduate. So I live in Northwest Ohio. Yes. So I'm very, very partial to that.
I had to put that needle in.
And you take either one of those venues, they are great places to play. They're great places to play. People that, when we send somebody up to the Stroh Center from out of district, from the Central, which we almost do every year, they just walk away from it in amazement. I think Columbus South might have come up to Bowling Green this year and ended up in the state
Grandview Heights
tournament.
would have been up.
Yes.
Would have been up here as well.
And Grandview Heights, that was Jim Lachey's son played for Grandview Heights.
And his other son plays football at Bowling Green.
Correct.
Yeah.
And in fact, he thanked me for having a family reunion up here. But just the way that the venues do a great job. But that also leads to one more thing. How thankful we are that those venues at the level we are using them. Granted they're not at the state tournament, but at regional level. I used the example in a meeting. At the time of this, that we're doing this show, we now have to book our arenas, especially the major ones, the Akrons, the OUs, the Bowling Greens, the Toledos, for next year. In some cases, we have to book them 2 years out. The Wolstein Center in Cleveland is a longer commitment that we have to make. And why is that? Because if we don't use it, they want to rent that. They have to make money too. They have to rent those facilities out. They want to. Well, the thing is, we'll book those sites. We really don't know who's going to be in the tournament next year. So that can lead to, Vermilion won, and they're going to Bowling Green.
Right.
Vermilion's on the furthest reach of the Northwest District. So people lose sight of that a little bit. Why are you doing that? Well, we didn't sit behind a desk and try to create that.